Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Friday, it's Friday, it's Friday. And we haven't done this for a while, have we? We haven't done this for a while. I don't think I was here. I wasn't here last Friday. And I think we just have to do a little bit of side of this fair, a little bit of there, a little bit of say. Fuck off Friday. It really is. Oh, it was yummy at the local bakery, says Ellery Jones. Morning, Faith Goodman. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? How are you? Where are you? I haven't got you up on my screen. Hi, Cloda. Hi, Anita Burke. Hey, April Hill. Let's have a look over here. Morning, Kylie Mitchell, Jackie Smith, Michelle Hofstein. Hi to Perth in West Australia. We are looking forward to the Married at First Sight reunions, landing next Monday, Bank Holiday Monday and Tuesday. Morning, Myra Instance. Hi, I hope you're feeling better. Gillian Barras, Sazzy, Bev Berry, Sarah Randall, Good Ship Lollipop. Obviously, at the end of this live, we will be doing oh, you enjoyed the Crete vlog, Rach Fitz, yep. Nadia was so hysterical, wasn't she, in the water, trying to head a ball. I've never thought we'd see Nadia try and head a ball. How ludicrous is that? Morning, Erin Two Spirit. Hope you're well. Hi, Bell X1. It's Friday quiz. It's the Friday quiz towards the end of this. Hi, Elsa Pop. We are coronation ready, up bright and early to the butchers, pork pies, Scotch eggs, and coronation quiche. Wow, you're going the full hog. Sorry, I've taken some vitamins and they're sort of not going down. Morning, Michu. Morning, Teletastic recommendation, Love and Death with Elizabeth Olsen. Is that on a Curious streamer or platform? I'm trying to think. I love Elizabeth Olsen, but thank you for the recommendation. So many cats, Michelle Hofstein. What, in Crete? First up, Sophie R, sending you love. Hope you got my message. Hope you're feeling a little bit better, my sweetheart. What time is the coronation? Good question. I think, like most things in this country, is it 11 o'clock? Things get going. I mean, lots of people are like, I don't want to talk about it. I heard lots of people yesterday furious on the radio. I mean, really furious about the ostentatiousness of it all. Some of you guys have posted, and I suppose you're right. One has to think about, middle-class privilege and all that kind of stuff. So, yes, I can well imagine that for many, many people, it is a rubbing in the face of a part of our society that doesn't struggle whilst so many people are. So I think one has to absolutely acknowledge that. You can't skin it any other way. I suppose there are many people who are wanting to see it in a little bit like the way excuse me one second. I suppose some people view it in the way that, say, we would view Hollywood stars. Do you know? It's a kind of world that isn't privy to the same rules and regs, I suppose. But that doesn't make it any easier for people who are finding it genuinely objectionable. Morning, Tim. Are you here, Tim? Did I just see your name go up? My screen is very dark today. That's rather frustrating. Oh no, sorry, Tim. Tim the Postie. No, it wasn't Tim the Postie. So yeah, so obviously everyone is extraordinarily excited. The Curly Cooks tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Yeah, 10 o'clock is going to be, well, it was Coronation Special last week in order to get stuff ready for this weekend. And tomorrow, I think it's going to be Carnage in the Garden. I think they are engaging in some barbecue activity. And they've got some very funny hats to wear. So make sure you join us tomorrow morning at 9:15 for the Saturday papers and at 10 a.m. for the Curly Cooks of Croydon. Anna Charolumbus, my daughter's Rebecca 22nd birthday today. Where have all the years gone? Where have all the years gone? Don't know what that song is. What are you all okay, regardless of whether you're doing it, not doing it, what are you going to eat whilst old King Charles gets anointed? I love that word. I love the word anointed. Anointed. Just makes you sort of, I don't know, there's something sort of, I don't know, weird. I wonder if they use olive oil. What are you going to be eating tomorrow, guys? What is your food? Oh, it's a good point, actually. So if Curly Cooks is on at 10, it should be done in time. Sausages, says Good Ship Lollipop. You've got a quiche Lorraine, Bev Berry. Quiche, Emma White. I'm not a fan of quiche. I always find them a bit wibbly wobbly. Always a bit, I mean, having said that, I love a custard tart, especially a Marks and Spencer's custard tart. But I don't know, there's something about quiche. Even the word. I don't know why, the word quiche makes me want to slap myself. Tez will be half asleep in Chicago. A jam sandwich, Ross Souch. There's a thing. I've never been a fan of jam. Isn't that weird? Hate quiche, Sylvia Murphy. Me, you too. Elizabeth Taylor, getting ready to go and see our son in Australia. Haven't seen him for nearly 4 years due to COVID. So excited and emotional. Hope you have. I'm so excited for you. That would be so lovely. And also for anyone in America, obviously the restrictions on vaccine passports and all that malarkey. You can freely travel to America from May the 11th in just under a week. Ellery Jones, I'm doing a Morrison food shopping today. Why not Lidl? Don't tell Dina that. Scones, tuna and cucumber sandwiches might go the whole way and cut the crusts off, says Saz W. My nan always used to cut the crusts off and she'd say, let's feed the ducks. And then we've only just recently discovered, isn't it bad for ducks and birds and seagulls to eat bread? Doesn't it make their stomachs explode? Countess Carl, send out my love to Sophie. We're in Australia, says Michelle. What, in Australia, are you going to be watching in Australia? Is there a sort of, how do you feel about the royal family? Is there a sort of sod-off attitude? Or Charlene Horrocks, marmalade sandwiches as a tribute to the Queen with Paddington Bear? I just want to ask a simple question. We're not going to sit on this for too long, but it's the biggest thing that's happening in this country this weekend. Do you like Prince Charles? Simple question. A lot of people don't. Vicky waiting, need to pop to the shops. I think I just recovered from norovirus and need to get thinking about tomorrow, I guess. We'll be watching in New Zealand, says Christine Bett. Yes, I suppose all eyes will be on the Harry scenario, won't they? Classic. Tracy Street, looking forward to watching the coronation. I'll tell you tomorrow. So, well, why don't we lead with this poor chap camping out, royal super fan. When these things happen, when there was a wedding, when there was the funeral, when there was tragically the Lady Di, Princess Diana's funeral, there are people who go and camp along the Mall, which is the great long red road that runs before Buckingham Palace. And a royal super fan, whose name is Patrick McCrossan, camped up, good to go, was there in his tent. He, bless him, had his tent stolen and all his belongings inside, leaving him sleeping outside and scared to go to the toilet. He's still there. The thieves made off with a £659 GoPro camera that was a birthday present to him. There's a photo of him. He's a very sweet man, probably about my age, in his late 50s. And this is, like they're saying, this is bizarre. This is bizarre because, the police are using, are threatening to use, what is it, sort of facial recognition technology and all that kind of stuff. Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about this chap, Russ. And he had it all stolen. He bought 2 new chairs and my tent's gone twice. I couldn't get it a third time. Twice. Bless him. Asked if he'd reported the incident. He said, no, I don't see any cameras anywhere. I think what it was there were some guys milling around. I've been to so many of these events. I thought it was all right to say that I'm only going to the toilet. There were some that weren't open. So I went up towards Green Park. And when I came back, they were gone. And I thought, oh shit. I wouldn't have left my GoPro if I was going to the toilet though, would you? His bag had phone chargers and all sorts in it. Got myself the GoPro for my birthday. I just felt sorry for him. I felt really sorry for him. I thought, there he is, camping out, whatever you think of the coronation. He's a royalist. He's going to make a weekend of it. He's got there really early. I mean, I've never really... have you ever queued early for something? Have you ever got there, you know, like Harry Potter or something like that? Or the Harrods sales? We're fabulous queues. I mean, when me and Nadia were in town for the funeral, you couldn't get within an inch of being a mile away from the procession. So I can see why he's camping. But of course, the problem for Mr. McCrossan, and I wouldn't be able to do this at all, is he now can't go to the toilet again. He's too worried to go to the toilet. That's going to be dangerous, right? He's got to get through today and into tomorrow. And then once it's over, he's going to struggle to get to it. I bet there's not going to be a loo nearby. MeTube, interesting. Star Wars Episode 1 premiere. Queued for hours at Man's Chinese. Wow. Steph Schultz, my body couldn't take... Well, I guess there was also the queue to see the Queen in state, right? That was a long queue. Good Chip Lollipop, I bet someone kind replaces his GoPro for him now he's known. I hope so. I hope so. Jackie K, hope it's lovely and hot in Gran Canaria. So that's that poor old Royal superfan taken advantage of. Obviously, I haven't put this in the title, but it was the local elections yesterday. But I just pulled this story, not to bang on about local elections, because it's a bit tedious. Obviously, the Tories haven't done particularly well. Labour have done okay. The Liberal Democrats have done much better than they thought. But there's a poll here about youngsters, and this poll, I think ITV have done it. Yeah, ITV poll basically says that most young voters or young people are unlikely to ever vote for the Conservatives, which leads to a possible conclusion that maybe there will not be any supporters of the Conservatives once, sadly, like a conveyor belt, most Conservative voters have died. I want to ask you, do you think with age, the Conservatives are going to die out? The vast majority of young people will not vote Conservative ever. Do you think, as youngsters age, the Conservatives will fade away? So look, there's some interesting statistics in this. So I just wanted to share them with you so we can get a snapshot of what the kids are feeling, guys. 60% of young people said they'd vote Labour if there was a general election tomorrow, compared to just 15%. Worryingly for the Conservatives, 57% of youngsters said they would never, ever vote Tory. A conservative approach to life does creep in as you get older, it has to be said. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a surefire win for Keir Starmer. Most young people would prefer Corbyn to Starmer, because I think they feel that he's less vanilla, with it, whatever you think of Corbyn. He's sort of, although he was pretty vanilla about Brexit. 45% of youngsters believe that their generation will be worse off than their parents or grandparents. What else have we got here? There is a genuine belief amongst young people. Oh yeah, 85% of young people, this is it, would vote to return to remain or go back to the EU. So I think what you're going to see here, and I think I've said before on here, you know, my nan, who was 90, was she 92 when the vote happened, said, I'm not voting. She would have voted Leave for sure, because she couldn't stand, she was a real nationalist. But her line on that was curious right at the end of her life. She said, why should I vote on something that's not going to impact me at all? And sometimes I feel like that could creep into a few more older people's attitudes to things. Do you know what I mean? Thinking of the younger generations. Sophia Lopez, as a youngster, I feel we need to learn more about politics at school. I totally agree. I did politics O-level. I think we were one of the few schools that did it, and it was invaluable. It was invaluable just to not even necessarily, well, obviously it kind of educated you in terms of what politics were, communism, socialism, capitalism, but it also gave you an understanding of the processes of our democracy. Let's do a return to the EU poll. So let's ask, would you vote to return to the EU? Oh, hasn't gone up. Would you vote to return to the EU? Ask your community. So I just think it's interesting. The reason this story kind of captured my imagination, I just think there is going to be what I call a conveyor belt shift to not even necessarily to the left, but just towards a pragmatism. I think there needs to be a pragmatism in politics that looks after, that focuses on the younger people. I mean, they're the future, right? You love a pole when Nadia's away, says Laura Lou. I do. I like to do a bit of pole dancing. It's a bit of pole dancing. Happy birthday, Taurus 5. Happy birthday, Taurus 5. There you are, look. It's my birthday. Happy birthday, Taurus 5. Even Boris Johnson, when the Brexit vote came through, said, oh, cock. Or oh, crap. What are we going to do? No one was prepared for it. So careful, older Conservatives. The younger voters are going to slowly move you out of the way. Carrie Fisher. Oh, let's have a look at your vote. What's coming on? Would you vote to return to the EU? Oh, look, nearly 3/4 of you are saying yes. We should have a say in reversing Brexit. Well, I mean, my line on it all is that yes, I think everyone has, I think Brexiteers have a right to say, observe the vote. This is the vote. But they never seem to answer the fact that none of the facts that were given were true. If the facts were true, and okay, they didn't happen, could have been true, and they didn't happen, well and good. But all of the promises weren't true. It was a fraud, there was fraudulent facts given out. So how's that democratic? I don't understand. If we all know in retrospect that many of the promises were inaccurate and what was being sold wasn't true, how can you? But anyway, but then if you say that, you're a Ramona, anyway. But look, it's like good things come to those who wait. And I think we can rest assured that the youngsters will do it for us. Down the hatch, matey flip. Pleasure, Taurus 5. I hope you have a lovely day. I hope you have a lovely day and a lovely weekend. Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher. Possibly the first star I had a crush on, sort of actress star. Princess Leia, major part of my childhood. Carrie Fisher, obviously, had an incredibly colourful life. A real party animal, struggled with drugs, etc. I mean, there's a danger that one kind of goes, wasn't she eccentric and all these kind of things. I think even when she died, the post-mortem showed that there was ecstasy or something. There were drugs in her. So she lived and partied hard. She lived fast and died relatively young. She had a Walk of Fame ceremony, or her daughter was present for her Walk of Fame ceremony, which was happening obviously on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. I tell you an underestimated role that she had, Carrie Fisher, in When Harry Met Sally. I thought she was great in that. Absolutely, Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher's daughter. Carrie Fisher, well, the reason this hit the news was that, what's her name? Billie Lourd, is it? Yeah, Billie Lourd, who I know from, wasn't she in American Horror Story? She didn't invite, or rather the siblings of Carrie Fisher have complained that they weren't invited to the ceremony, her Walk of Fame ceremony. And the suggestion here by Billie Lourd is the fact that her siblings, Todd, Trisha, and Jolie Fisher, sought to capitalize on and exploit, in a sense, the memory, the career, and the profile of Carrie Fisher once she had died. And I just wanted to ask the question here, what do you think, guys? Do you think even if there's conflict, even if there's unbridgeable kind of disagreements, falling outs, estrangements, do those who perhaps didn't get on with the person or perhaps weren't close to the person, do they have an entitlement to, okay, this is slightly different Walk of Fame, but should the siblings have been invited? That's the question. And equivalently, in things like funerals or memorials and things like that, should those that close members of the family feel were not driven by the most honourable intentions, should they be invited or not? So let's ask the question, should Carrie's siblings have been invited to ceremony. What do you think, guys? I mean, lots of families have these moments where it's kind of like, oh God, well, am I only going to see you at the funeral? Am I only going to talk to you at the funeral or at the remembrance or what have you? Elsa Pop, not her decision to make, in my opinion, Billy Lord. Nicola Lee, no, I'd ask my bestie to throw them out for me. Faith Goodman, it depends how Carrie felt about the people. Would she have wanted them there if she was still alive? That's a very valid point because, of course, if you've got members of a family who are all loved, but within the family they don't actually get on, then, you know, you've got to do it in service of the person who's passed, I suppose. I think there is the, what does she say? Billy Lord said, days after my mum died, her brother and sister chose to process their grief publicly and capitalize on my mother's death by doing multiple interviews and selling individual books for a lot of money. I found out they had done this through the press. They never consulted me or considered how this would affect our relationship. She said that Carrie Fisher, her mother, had a very complicated relationship with her family, a fact only known by me and those who are actually close to her. Lord added, though I recognise they have every right to do whatever they choose, their actions were hurtful to me at the most difficult time in my life. I chose to and still choose to deal with their loss in a much different way. She insists that there is no feud, we just have no relationship. This was a conscious decision on my part to break a cycle with a way of life I want no part of for myself or my children. I mean, if you're the child, if you're the next of kin, if you were the closest, if you're aware that those other family members were non-committal, uninterested, potentially even damaging, if you are privy to details of their relationships that perhaps the public aren't, is it not your right to enact some kind of sanction on such an event? Charlene Horrocks, if they didn't speak for years, then they shouldn't have been invited to the ceremony. If they had an estranged relationship in life, then why be there in death? I often think that. It's that weird thing, isn't it, at funerals where people, the phrase, they creep out of the woodwork. I always used to think, when I was young and I heard someone say this at some event, oh, they've just crept out of the woodwork. I literally thought, in a Doctor Who fashion, a Doctor Who couldn't have reached those sort of special effects, they crept out of the woodwork. Minky Moo, Billy threw her mum's glitter on her star. That's so sweet. It is weird, isn't it? It is weird. I think there is this weird thing that sometimes happens with funerals and loss and the passing away of someone, where people, maybe it's a form of narcissism, where people want to almost possess or adopt or hijack the grief, trauma, and upset. It's almost, could you argue, a cowardly opportunity to make your presence known, to ignite the idea of a relationship you had, which you didn't, of which no one is going to be able, for certain, challenge, because of course the person's passed away. I do think, and you could argue, is there anything wrong with that? I think there is something wrong with that. If it unsettles those closest to the person, from saying their own farewells. I think it's a very complicated thing. Steph Schultz, some people attention seek with it. Yeah, it's that weird thing, isn't it, where people want to, I mean, I can think of someone back in my life who they were related to someone who had lost someone very close to them, and they curiously wanted to possess the grief in a more complete way and in a way that was a priority over the person who'd actually lost someone. It's weird. It's weird. So if I'm honest, I think in this instance, it's not a funeral. I think Carrie Fisher's daughter was okay to do this. Me too, but I think funerals should be like a wedding with a guest list. Yes, it's curious, isn't it? You get this in films often where, I don't know, a black sheep of the family or someone who wasn't close to the person, or perhaps a jilted lover or someone who's just sort of in the shadows, sort of steps into a funeral at the back. And am I right in thinking that legally anyone is allowed to attend a funeral? Is that right? Or are you allowed to muscle someone out? Are you allowed to kind of grab them and hurl them out the door? I mean, it would be very untoward. Erin Two Spirit, when my mum passed away, no one will be invited. I will have a ceremony alone. She's diabetic and bipolar. Currently, I cannot locate her, and my siblings haven't helped and don't care. Wow, that sounds like a complicated situation. Clodagh Egan, good point. Maybe an individual turns up trying to make peace with the departed or themselves. So what you're saying there is, could it be some kind of almost making amends, paying respect, perhaps not knowing how to do that in real life? Yeah, absolutely, you're right. There can be some very sort of, what's the word? Not necessarily malevolent reason for being there, I guess. I think, oh wow, me too. I think funeral tourism might be a thing. Carla Martin, we did not invite many to my mother's earlier. Elsa Pop, sounds like my dad when my mum died. He didn't seem to realise my brother and I had lost our mum. There is a strange thing, isn't there, around grief and ownership of grief and who's feeling grief more meaningfully. Weird. Grief competitiveness. Weird. Anyway, that's the Carrie Fisher story. It's just, and again, Carrie Fisher, sometimes worry you just don't get characters like Carrie Fisher made anymore. And isn't it that weird thing that obviously she led quite a traumatic, she obviously had issues in her childhood. It's that weird thing, isn't it, where eccentric or interesting people, or people who break the mold or break the rules or are a bit kind of counterculture, generally have had some awful stuff go on in their lives in order for them to be who they are. And it's that weird thing where you can never really regret things because they are the things that make you different in many regards. So yeah, she was a true rebel. Another story, TikTok. Who's on TikTok here? Let's ask that question. Is anyone here on TikTok? Why have I shut that down? Sorry, I've just removed you all. Is anyone here on TikTok? We're not allowed to go on TikTok. Poll. Well, should Carrie's siblings have been invited to the ceremony? Yes. For slim majority think they shouldn't have been. Okay, that's interesting. Split down the middle. Lisa Young, happy birthday. Are you on TikTok? Oh, TikTok I've put, but you understand what I mean. This is just a story that it's been confirmed that a UK journalist, I think she worked for the Financial Times, was phoned up, called by people at TikTok, and they had to admit and tell her that they had been tracking her through her cat's TikTok account. The people involved were fired. This tracking was happening in China and in America. She says it was really chilling and horrible. 2 days before Christmas, the Financial Times journalist Christina Criddle was phoned up by TikTok and told that 2 of its employees in China, 2 in the US, had viewed her data via her cat's account. Now, the reason this is important is that obviously TikTok and the holding company, the parent company of TikTok, have gone to great lengths to say, this is not what we do. We do not hold data. Now, this journalist was investigating the structures and machinations of what goes on at TikTok. So you could argue, okay, she was doing unto them, but it's freedom of speech, freedom of inquiry, journalism, and all that kind of stuff. But like she said it was really chilling and horrible and really quite violating. I was at my family home with my teenage sister and teenage cousins, and just before the call, they had all been using TikTok, and they were like, whoa, should we be worried? If cats had opposable thumbs, says Good Ship Lollipop. If you use any of the big tech services, you're trackable. Absolutely. And it's that weird thing where when you look into, look, TikTok collects this information, like most social media accounts, location data, likes, the device being used, and online activity outside of the platform itself. I'm going to tell you now, I was having a conversation with my Snapchat AI bot about worst case scenario AI technological development. And apparently, I managed to get it to get to the point where it started to describe what some of the worst case, I'm not worrying people, but I tell you what, it was kind of fascinating and weird. Look up, is it the paperclip syndrome or the paperclip scenario? Look up the paperclip scenario. No, this isn't new news. This isn't new news. We all suspect it, we all feel it, and we all pretty much know that this happens. But this is the first instance where it's been reported that it's absolutely happened. So again, it's just chuck off. I would recommend everyone to chuck off their location their location settings. Though I don't trust that even when you turn off your location. This is one of the reasons I get sort of like, I feel nothing about facial recognition technology and CCTV is, if we've all engaged with and accept that we have these iPhones, we are monitored to death already. So this notional idea that an ID card or something else like that, Operation Paperclip, yeah, something like that, paperclip scenario or something, look up the paperclip scenario with AI. So no, it's not news, Minky Moo, but I think it's a kind of formal acknowledgement that this is the case. And I do think of all the things, I mean, I don't use cloud ever, and I don't have my locations on ever, though some of your apps do, and you have to go in and turn them all off. So yeah, no, I just thought that was intriguing. And finally, before we get onto the quiz, late life hookups. This is the story. We did a reaction to all of the photos and the red carpet fashion at the Met Gala. One of the images that we included was an image of Bill Nye and Anna Wintour, the editor of Vogue, as I discovered. I thought it was Cosmo and all those other magazines that I used to see nestled next to a toilet that I used to read copiously, both as a young man and as an old man. Anyway, Bill Nye has come out to say, we're not an item, we're just good mates. But this has led to, there's just a piece here in the Telegraph saying the joys of a late life hookup. And this is intriguing, isn't it? They've also got a photo of, who's that? Oh, Barbara Streisand with James Brolin. We've also got a photo of Prue Leith with her partner. And this is the idea of, is it okay later in life? Let's just get rid of that poll. Are you on TikTok? Yes, 31%, no, 69%, okay. Could you, I suppose, what's the question here? I love a poll. Do you think you could engage in a late life hookup? Now, as I understand it, any younger watchers now, isn't a hookup like a euphemism for, you know what? Isn't that what it is? Mark's poll face. Do you think you could engage in a late life hookup? I mean, Shane Watson, who writes this piece, says, look, there's something wonderful about the prospect of possibly having a late life romance or, you know, to start dating later in life. You know, she says, it has many things going for it. Not least, you both know what you want and you can see what you're getting. Bar health issues, there are no nasty surprises around the corner with a late love couple. Is that necessarily the case? I don't necessarily think so. I don't see why just because you're older you can't be as fucked up and screwed up as you were in any relationship you had when you were younger. We do have this, oh, there's a photo here of Paul McCartney as well with Nancy Shevell. Late lovers are used to working things out and may simply keep their own places or just screw the nut and make the necessary adjustments, as Leith did when, after 4 years of living in her old house while her husband kept his, they moved into a new place together, which could accommodate the best of their both worlds. Late love. Do you know anyone who's engaged? Do you know anyone who's got married or found love late in life or has a relationship in late life that's like, you know, they're like teenagers, born again teenagers. Me too, Rupert Murdoch. I mean, God almighty. I mean, imagine it. Is he 93? Thinking, man, I'm going to call this engagement off. Fascinating. Saz W, if I was single, had the energy and the opportunity, hey, why not? Life is for living. Steph Schultz, if you want to, of course. If it's meant to be, then yes. Epsington, I think they mean unexpected pregnancies by nasty surprises, Mark. No, absolutely. But I also think, you know, there's this idea that you know what you're getting and that person isn't going to change. I'm always fascinated in first dates with the older couples. They know quite quickly, or you know when you watch them quite quickly, where their rigidity lies, don't you? Charlene Horrocks, sounds like too much hassle. Yeah, this sounds a bit ageist, Mark. My dad, you're right. I think as a culture, we are ageist. You know, none of us want to think about older people having sex, even though apparently in lots of kind of retirement homes and places like that, it's rampant, rife. We've done stories in the past about how STDs are on the rise amongst much, much, much older people. So the appetite's there. So why wouldn't late life hookups happen? Steph Schultz, they're also very specific about what they want as they know life is short. Absolutely. There's often a bucket list involved as well, isn't there? If he's in his 90s and she's in her 50s, is that cradle snatching? It's curious, isn't it, as you get older? That age difference doesn't seem to sort of be so stark. What's this one about? My dad is 72, says Ross, and has met a new lady in his life, also 72. He's very happy since Mum's passing. Yeah, live life to the full, regardless of your age. I agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Okay, so finally, let's get on to the quiz of the week, shall we? Any of you who don't know, on a Friday, we always do... Sorry, just lost you. Sorry. It's the quiz of the week. It's the quiz of the week. So any of you who aren't used to this, if you've got a pen and you've got a piece of paper, we're going to now run through some of the questions for our end of the week quiz. Let's get rid of that. Let's pull that over here. Let's do this. Let's do this. I'm just pulling everything up. Get your pen and paper, please. I want everyone ready. I want you all paying attention. I want you all focused. And just to get things going, let's... Notice how I did that whilst drinking a bottle of water. Right, Friday quiz. Let's rattle through this, shall we? Okay, so I'm just pulling you up here so I can sort of tease you with the ones that you don't get right. Okay, question 1, Met Gala. Here we go. 7 out of 7. I know someone's going to get 7. Celebrities gathered for the annual Met Gala in New York, which had tributes to Karl Lagerfeld. But who turned up in a furry suit representing the late fashion designer's cat, Chopette? If you watched our Met Gala reaction, you'll know this. A, Doja Cat. B, Jared Leto. Or C, Lil Nas X. I'm not entirely sure if I pronounced that correctly. Who arrived at the Met Gala dressed as a cat, Karl Lagerfeld's cat? Was it A, Doja Cat, B, Jared Leto, or C, Lil Nas X? I think the majority of you are going to get this right, apart from Julie Bracewell, joking, or Jackie Roswell. It is, of course, Jared Leto, B, banging in. Faith, you've fallen at the first. It was Jared. Jared, what a pretty man Jared is. Question 2, mate, this is going to absolutely floor you all, because it would floor me. Question 2, Luca Breckel, I think that's how you pronounce his name, won Snooker's World Championship, beating England's Mark Selby in a history-making match. But which of the following statements is true of the Belgian snooker player? A, he became the youngest world champion. B, he's the first world champion from mainland Europe. Or C, he was the first player to score a maximum break in the final. Oh, yeah, me too. Sports. I think it's a stretch, isn't it, to say snooker sport? Is snooker in the Olympics? So the Belgian winner of the Snooker World Championship, was he A, the youngest world champion, B, the first world champion from mainland Europe, or C, the first player to score a maximum break? You're split all over the place on this one, aren't you? C, first player, let's see who. B, my son was there, Sarah Fox. Oh, Ellery Jones, B, Sandra Beveridge, B. Some Pot Black fans here. It is B. He was the first world champion from mainland Europe. I reckon that's sieved out quite a few of you, unfortunately, doesn't it? But you're all going, groan. Question 3. Turkey sent a German Shepherd puppy to thank Mexico for providing rescue dogs in the wake of February's earthquake. Istanbul said it hoped it would carry on the legacy of a dog named what that died during the search for survivors. Was the dog named A, Arcadas, B, Proteo, or C, Yardim? I guessed, and I guessed right. So this is about a dog sent by Turkey to thank Mexico. Istanbul said it hoped it would carry on the legacy of a dog named what? What was the dog named? A, Arcadas, B, Proteo, or C, Yardim? Let's have a look. Lots of you saying A. Gillian Barras and Danielle saying Proteo. Quite a few of you saying Yardim. More of you saying Arcadas or Arcadas. Saz W saying Proteo is Proteo. Difficult questions this week. Difficult questions. Question 4. Coronation, I'm afraid. Viewers watching Saturday's coronation of King Charles III are being invited to swear true allegiance to the monarch during the ceremony. But what is the name of this oath? We touched upon this week. What is the oath called? Is it A, homage of the peers? Is it B, homage of the people? Or is it C, homage of the plebs? What is the allegiance in the coronation called? What is the name of the oath? Is it A, homage of the peers, B, homage of the people, or C, homage of the plebeians? Carla Martin, homage of the people. It sounds like a song by Boney M, doesn't it? Homage, homage of the people, but it would be, tuneful. Angela Thompson says homage of the peers. You know what? I said that, and I think it used to be called homage of the peers, but they've changed it. And those of you who have said B would be right, homage of the people. They couldn't use a word like plebeians now, could they? Homage of the plebs. Question 5. Homage of the idiots, says DR. Question 5. A piano placed in a Japanese railway station was removed by officials, but which of the following did they give as a reason? A, people playing too long and singing loudly. B, pianists being filmed without their consent. Or C, poor hygiene of people balancing food on the music shelf. This is one for you and Michelle and Ian. So why did Japanese officials remove a piano? Was it A, people were playing too long and singing loudly? B, pianists being filmed without their consent? Or C, poor hygiene of people balancing food on the music shelf? Happy 60th birthday, Tim. Tim Reed, happy birthday, Tim. Bloody hell, good man. Well done. One day at a time. Carla Martin says poor hygiene. Charlene Horrocks, Helen Groves, Dearheart saying B, pianist being filmed. Dearheart says it's A. Laura Williams says A. I was hoping it would be a more sort of interesting answer. I was hoping it was poor hygiene. But actually, no, so many tips I don't get any tips on stuff. Okay. But it's A, people playing too long and singing loudly. Question 6. Banking giant HSBC, which I think used to be Halifax. No. Was it Halifax? No, it was Midlands. Was it Midlands? Revealed a $1.5 billion boost to profits from the purchase of which collapsed bank bought for just £1. So what bank did HSBC buy for £1? Was it A, Credit Suisse, B, First Republic, or C, Silicon Valley Bank? This happened a while back, didn't it? If anyone gets 5 this week, I'll be impressed, for sure. So banking giant HSBC bought which bank for £1? Was it A, Credit Suisse, B, First Republic, or C, Silicon Valley? Lots of you saying Silicon. Yeah, lots of you. Sarah Fox, Ross Ouch, Michelle Hofstein, Charlene Horrocks saying First Republic. The answer is Silicon Valley Bank. And at this point, we always ask, who's got 6 out of 7? If you've got 6 out of 7, I'm going to be flabbergasted. Absolutely flabbergasted. And we'll have to, in tribute to you, have another coffee after this live. Only 3, 4, Pauline Roberts. MeTube 4, that's good. That's good. 2, Faith. Well, Karen Rogers, I'm on 5 out of 5. We're at number 7, so I hope you get 6 as well. 5 out of 7, 5 at the moment, Anne Murray. Ellery Jones, 6. Okay, wow, okay. Last question. Manchester City's Erling Haaland broke the record for Premier League goals in a season. Sport. Scoring his 35th in a 3-0 win over West Ham. It's the biggest league haul of goals in England's top division since that of which player? You're all fucked. A, Ron Davies, Southampton. B, 66 to 67. B, William Ralph Dixie Dean, Everton, 1927 to 28. Or C, Tom Pongo Waring, Aston Villa, 1930 to 31. So he scored, Manchester City's Erling Haaland scored his 35th goal. It's the biggest league haul in England's top division since that of which? Ron Davies from 66 to 67, William Ralph Dixie Dean from 27 to 28, or Tom Pongo Waring from 1930 to 31. C, Creatorholic says, because I like the name. Lots of you, Jackie Roswell, Helen Groves saying A. Russ Out, B, no idea. No idea. A Frog says A. Michelle Hofstein says A. It is A. It's Ron Davies. We were all wanting it to be Tom Pongo, weren't we? Umbungo, we drink it in the jungle. Tom Pongo, he's just got a funny pongo. Okay, well, there you go, guys. I hope you have a lovely Friday. We will see you for the busy morning that happens in the Sawalha-Adderley household on a Saturday morning. Do go and enjoy the Crete vlog if you haven't had a chance. A green-fingered hell is en route to you. A home time, I know we keep promising, is also en route to you. Yeah, hope you have a lovely Friday, guys. And Ellery Jones, 7 out of 7.